With us as we move on to our next story, and for it we head to the United States, and former New York Mayor Eric Adams has criticised successor Zohran Mamdani over revoked executive orders on anti-Semitism. Following his inauguration at the start of 2026, Mayor Zohran Mamdani issued an executive order nullifying all executive orders implemented by Adams since September 2024. Which is the date Adams was indicted on corruption charges that were later dropped. Among the revoked orders were 1. Adopting the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism, which encompasses certain forms of criticism of Israel, as well as an order opposing the campaign to boycott Israel. Adams shared a letter from a Jewish group condemning Mamdani's action and posted on social media that the move undermines Mamdani's promise of a new era and unity, saying this isn't new and this isn't unity. Now, of course, Shruti, leading up to his election, Zohran Mamdani was asked about his stance on Israel pretty frequently. This is due to the fact that the majority of American politicians will say that they are indeed pro-Israel. Mamdani has not been like that whatsoever. Is this more of the same from Mamdani? Is he doing what voters asked for here? He of course, has publicly criticised Israel, even though he's the mayor of New York. But what is your stance on this issue here? Does Eric Adams have a point?
Well, Eric Adams is a compromised entity on himself. The charges were dropped when the Trump regime came into power that you just spoke about in 2025. So now we have a person who has the taint, and of course has not been very popular because of his allowance of the ICE anti-immigration stance as well. So there is a large section of New Yorkers that are not happy. New York is an expensive city, and we all know that. It's very difficult to be there. So all the socialist promises that Mamdani sold, the socialist dreams that Mamdani sold, are going to come at the expense of somebody's tax dollars. And he's made it like tax the rich and give the poor for free. But that just is a very idealistic view. So apart from his ideas, his identity as a Muslim is also something that New Yorkers need to look at very carefully, because they did not see it, but it was viral on social media. Maybe it didn't come down to there. When the voters went down to vote, they had Andrew Cuomo, I believe, who was an independent supported by Trump, and also there was a Republican, but he was not as well supported by Trump. So this entire episode that has played out, Mamdani's victory, is something that people have to watch very carefully, because not only did he not support the IHRA, he's also allowed for protests against in front of places of religion. He's also allowed and he's also nullified the anti-boycott measures, which allows the BDS movement, which is boycott, let me just get this straight, boycott, dear God.
It's all right.
And sanction, and basically delist Israel from from being part of the economy of New York. So this is something that he's been working very hard on. So he's not just done this particular IHRA thing. He's allowing how violent the pro-Palestine protesters are, and when you allow them to go to worship sites, we've had that incident with Israeli diplomats being killed right outside in public spaces. So that is an issue. When you are revoking ICE agents and not allowing them to look at which criminals or anti-national elements are going to be part of your entire public, then that puts you at risk. He has abolished 2 newly created offices there. So there are a lot of bans that he's done. It might look as if he has taken away any of the tainted orders that were implemented after the previous mayor was indicted. But basically his stance is very, very woke, if I can call it that, and it might not generally lead to sound policies, economic or administratively. And as I said, mentioned, go on social media, look at what he was saying as a Muslim to his Muslim brotherhood, as I could say. He would go to mosque and make very, very, very controversial statements. And that just shows that either he's a chameleon and dawns on the color of the people that he's standing with, or he truly is presenting a fake side, which also which is what I think is he's presenting a fake socialist phenomena or facade for the world to see, because his appointment as his top legal person is somebody who defended Al-Qaeda associates. So there is a large question on where New York is headed under Mamdani.
Yeah, and of course, we will see if Mamdani does bring successfully in his policies that he did promise New Yorkers during his campaign. However, the revoked order tied criticism here of Israel to certain definitions of anti-Semitism. In other words, saying that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. Where does the real tension lie here between free speech, pro-Palestinian activism, and protecting Jewish communities?
A Zionist away from a Jewish person without actually interacting with them on a personal day-to-day level. You cannot do that. So when you take away that kind of protection, where there is a large anti-Jewish sentiment in the world, when you take away that protection of that umbrella of protection, you leave a large number of people of that community which have faced persecution earlier, open to violence by protesters in the name of justice for Gaza or Palestine or any other place they can think of. So this is not as Mayor Adams said, former Mayor Adams said, that this is not unity. This is not being inclusive. This is just letting the wolves go at the sheep. It's very, very simple as that, because you cannot define them. At least not until, as I said, you have an in-depth interaction with them, know what they believe in, know what their final agenda is. You cannot turn around and call every Jewish a Zionist, or you cannot separate a Zionist from a Jewish person. And when you're unable to do that, that leaves Jewish people in campuses, in offices, on the streets, anybody displaying the six-point star as having the mark of David on them, just like during the Nazi era. So it's a very, very dangerous situation that he has opened up for a very, very marginalized community.
Okay, Shruti Dasgupta, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.